Dawkins' book, The Blind Watchmaker, Review and Scientific Critique. In The Blind Watchmaker, Richard Dawkins presents a narrative of Darwinian evolution, arguing that natural selection, acting on random mutations, is sufficient to explain the complexity and diversity of life without any guiding intelligence. Dawkins uses the metaphor of a blind watchmaker to describe evolution, suggesting that although life appears designed, this appearance is an illusion produced by undirected processes over time. The Blind Watchmaker is an argument for Darwinian gradualism. However, it fails to address critical scientific challenges that defeat the claimed sufficiency of random mutation and natural selection as explanations for life's complexity, particularly at the levels of complex specified functional information, irreducibly complex systems, orphan genes and proteins, and higher taxa. 1. Central thesis and the gradualist approach to evolution. Dawkins' central thesis is that all biological complexity can be explained through the gradual accumulation of small, beneficial mutations, each selected for adaptive advantage. He argues that, given enough time, natural selection can produce even the most intricate structures, such as the eye, through a series of tiny, advantageous steps. However, Dawkins' model relies on assumptions that random mutation and natural selection are powerful enough to create entirely new forms of life, which does not align with the empirical evidence. Gradualism's inadequacy for complex specified functional information. While Dawkins' gradualist approach provides a plausible model for microevolution, adaptations within a species or genus, it does not explain the origins of complex specified functional information necessary for the emergence of novel structures in higher taxa. Complex systems like eyes, wings, and molecular machines require precise, interdependent arrangements that cannot arise through small, uncoordinated mutations alone. Dawkins' model does not account for the probabilistic constraints that make such functional complexity statistically impossible through random mutations. 2. The limits of micro and low-level macroevolution. The scientific evidence supports microevolution, adaptation within species genus family boundaries, as well as low-level macroevolution, or speciation, within genera. These processes are effective for adaptations to environmental pressures and result from changes within a limited genetic framework, often involving the reshuffling of existing genetic information or loss-of-function mutations that provide short-term adaptive benefits. However, Dawkins extrapolates these mechanisms to claim naturalistic mega-evolution, or the evolution of entirely new forms of life, such as new phyla, classes, or orders, which requires the origin of new functional genes, structures, and regulatory networks. Insufficiency of mutation and selection for mega-evolution. Mega-evolution. The idea that random mutations and natural selection alone can generate the novel information and structures required for higher taxa faces substantial empirical defeaters. The formation of new, interdependent systems and body plans requires large amounts of complex specified functional information that are not generated by minor changes or loss-of-function mutations typical in micro and low-level macroevolution. Dawkins' claim that gradual, cumulative selection can account for all complexity is not supported by observed data, as the formation of new genes and systems at this scale exceeds the capabilities of random mutations. 3. Dawkins' model fails to address complex specified functional information. Dawkins' model is not causally capable for the origin of complex specified functional information, information that is not only ordered, but also purposefully arranged to achieve specific biological functions. DNA sequences, proteins, and molecular machines within cells all exhibit this specified complexity, where a precise arrangement of parts is required for functionality. Dawkins argues that natural selection can gradually build this complexity, but this claim overlooks the necessity for highly ordered sequences and interdependencies in cellular machinery. Random mutation as an insufficient source of complex information. Mutations tend to disrupt rather than create new, functional arrangements, and beneficial mutations are generally small changes within an existing framework. Specified functional information, such as that seen in molecular machines or in regulatory networks, requires high degrees of specified functionality and interdependency, which random, uncoordinated changes cannot produce. Dawkins' model lacks an empirical mechanism for generating this information-rich complexity, and thus does not address how complex systems could originate without guidance. Intelligent design as an alternative. Explanation for complex information. Intelligent design posits that the specific information-rich structures in biology reflect intentional causation. In fields like engineering or linguistics, highly specified, functional arrangements are consistently associated with purposeful design. Intelligent design offers a scientifically viable hypothesis for the specified information seen in life, proposing that random mutation and selection are insufficient for generating such ordered complexity without intelligent input. 4. Dawkins ignores the concept of irreducible complexity. In general, Dawkins attempts to refute intelligent design, but does not adequately address irreducible complexity, a concept introduced by Michael Behe that highlights biological systems composed of multiple, interdependent parts. Irreducibly complex systems, such as the bacterial flagellum or the blood-clotting cascade, require all components to be present to function, meaning that removing one part renders the entire system non-functional. Stepwise selection and the challenge of irreducible systems. Dawkins suggests that irreducibly complex systems could evolve by co-opting parts from other functions, but this proposal is wishful thinking and unsupported by experimental evidence. The probability of random mutations independently producing each component of a functional, interdependent system is impossibly low. Dawkins' model does not provide a mechanism by which irreducibly complex systems can arise through gradual mutation and selection alone, as selection cannot favor intermediate stages that lack functionality. Irreducible complexity as evidence for design. Irreducible complexity indicates systems where all parts must be present simultaneously for function, aligning with design rather than chance. Intelligent design posits that such systems were purposefully assembled to function as a cohesive unit, providing a better explanation for these structures than random, gradual assembly through mutation and selection. 5. Orphan genes and orphan proteins as a challenge to Dawkins's model. Dawkins' framework does not account for the existence of orphan genes and orphan proteins, genetic elements that are unique to specific lineages and have no homologs or evolutionary precursors. Orphan genes are essential in many organisms for unique, lineage-specific functions, yet they appear suddenly without any traceable ancestral sequences. The phenomenon of orphan genes falsifies Dawkins' gradualist model, as their emergence cannot be explained by cumulative selection on pre-existing genes. Lack of transitional pathways for orphan genes. Orphan genes do not fit within the gradual accumulation model of evolution, as they appear fully formed without evolutionary predecessors. Dawkins' reliance on mutation and selection does not address how these genes arise from random mutations, especially given their functional importance. Intelligent design offers a better and more rational explanation for orphan genes and proteins, positing that their sudden appearance reflects purposeful creation rather than gradual emergence. 6. Absence of a testable pathway for complex information and irreducible complexity. A critical scientific criterion for a valid hypothesis is the presence of a testable, falsifiable mechanism. Dawkins' model lacks a step-by-step, testable explanation for the formation of complex specified functional information or irreducibly complex systems. While microevolution and low-level speciation are observable within the limits of genus and taxonomic family, there are no documented experiments demonstrating the stepwise formation of irreducible systems or new complex specified information through random mutation and selection alone. Dawkins's model lacks any empirical, testable, and falsifiable support for its claims of life's higher complexity. No experimental evidence for naturalistic mega-evolution. The scientific literature does not contain empirical evidence for the generation of complex biological systems or new body plans through naturalistic mechanisms. The formation of higher taxa and complex molecular machines has not been observed through cumulative selection. Intelligent design provides a better explanation, positing that such complex functional systems were intentionally created with specified information. This is consistent with uniform human and scientific experience with complex functional systems. 7. philosophical bias against intelligent design. In general, Dawkins' dismissal of intelligent design stems from a philosophical commitment to materialism rather than a strictly scientific position. By beginning with the assumption that all complexity must arise from undirected processes, Dawkins limits his framework and excludes intelligent design from consideration without addressing its scientific claims. Intelligent design as a scientific hypothesis for complex systems. Intelligent design proposes that certain biological features indicate purposeful causation, a hypothesis grounded in the patterns observed in systems with specified complexity. By examining characteristics like functional interdependence, specified information, and orphan genes, intelligent design provides a better and more rational framework for understanding life's origins. Dawkins' a priori rejection of design limits the scope of scientific inquiry, leaving alternative valid explanations unaddressed. Conclusion: The Blind Watchmaker makes a good case for microevolution and low-level speciation, where natural selection and mutation explain adaptation within the limits of genus and taxonomic family. However, Dawkins' belief that random mutation and natural selection alone can account for the origin of complex specified functional information, irreducibly complex systems, and orphan genes is not supported by empirical evidence. The gradualist model falls short in explaining higher taxa, where the origins of complex, information-rich structures cannot arise by random processes with or without natural selection. In general, Dawkins' materialistic bias leads him to dismiss intelligent design, a hypothesis that offers a better and more scientifically viable explanation for the observed complexity in biological systems. Incorporating intelligent design alongside natural mechanisms would provide a more comprehensive framework, one that considers the empirical limitations of mutation and selection and addresses the full scope of life's complexity. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts. If you would like me to respond to your comment, please make a Level 1 comment directly below the video. I will respond to all polite Level 1 comments, even if it takes me a while due to other commitments.